I used to always think of mythology as a form of psychological archaeology. You're not just digging up pieces to look at them and try to figure out what's going on with a society. With mythology, you can actually understand the psychological underpinnings of what people actually were thinking, what they were afraid of, what they felt about their parents.
Lucas attended college and began his first forays into filmmaking during the counterculture revolution of the 60s, which was a rebellion against the corrupt authoritarian structures that presided over America at the time. This mirrors the Greek myth of the Olympians, the young generation of gods led by Zeus, battling the older generation of gods, the Titans led by the evil tyrant Cronus, for who would have dominion over the universe. History repeating itself, the strength of the monomyth being played out. In the Star Wars saga, the Empire represents the evil tyranny of an older generation led by the Emperor and his apprentice Vader, and the rebellion represents the idealistic, righteous fortitude of the younger generation, with Luke eventually joining and becoming one of its leading forces. While the galaxy is fighting to see who will come out on top, the evil Empire or the noble rebellion, Luke's own journey is unfolding, a journey to becoming a Jedi like his father was.
Get really selfish and you forget about everybody, and you ultimately lead yourself, because when you get selfish, you get stuff, or you want stuff. And when you want stuff and you get stuff, then you are afraid somebody's going to take it away from you, whether it's a person or a thing or a particular pleasure, experience.
Jedi strength flows from the Force, but beware of the dark side. Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join you in a fight. If once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you it will, as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice.
Vader.
A common theme of religion is wickedness leads to hell, or a state of suffering. Righteousness leads to heaven, or a state of bliss. Buddhists would articulate this sentiment as oneness with the universe leads to nirvana, which is a state where people are free from a sense of self that binds them to the world and the suffering therein. Samsara, on the other hand, is a state of mental suffering by which people are bound to this world and are stuck in a cycle of reincarnation until they can reach enlightenment, and thus escape the world and therefore the suffering. The light side of the Force can be seen as a parallel to nirvana, and samsara can be regarded as a parallel to the dark side.
So as I'm approaching her, and we say hello to each other, and she said, "Welcome home," and I don't remember exactly what I said, what the dialogue was, but I said to the director, I think we need something that Vulcans do when they greet each other, because humans have certain kinds of things that we do. We shake hands, we salute each other, we bow to each other in certain cultures. He said, "What would you like to do?" And that's where I came up with this. And it came from an experience that I had that obviously made a big impression on me, because it happened when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was in a synagogue with my family, in an Orthodox synagogue, the men sitting downstairs, the women upstairs in the balcony, and with my grandfather, my father, and my brother and myself. Comes a point in the service where a group of men, I think there must have been 5 or 6 of them, is my memory. They are called Kohanim. They are members of the priestly tribe of the Hebrews. At this particular moment, they get up in front of the congregation, face the congregation from the stage, what's known as the bima in Hebrew, and they chant a particular prayer, which translates into, "May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his countenance to shine upon you. May the Lord turn his graciousness unto you and grant you peace." They were chanting it in Hebrew. And I'm too young to know what it meant. I'm too young to know why they were gesturing, but they were doing this with their hands facing the congregation. And while they were doing that, my dad was saying to me, "Don't look." Well, there's this crazy, fervent chanting going on. They're shouting this prayer in Hebrew, and they're shaking and they're rocking. It was kind of a frenzy. And I peeked. I saw what they were doing, and I immediately went to work to learn how to do that. Yeah. I had no idea why they were doing it, and much later I found out that this is the shape of the letter Shin in the Hebrew alphabet, which is the first letter of the word Shaddai, which is a name for God. Right. So the sense is they're using a symbol of God's name as they bless the congregation with that blessing. And you're not supposed to look, because I was told many years later
that during that benediction,
The Shekhinah also starts with a shin, comes into the sanctuary to bless the congregation. And this is the feminine aspect of God. And you don't want to see her because the light that emanates from a deity could hurt you, could blind you, or even worse.
So we introduced it that day. The director said, okay, let's do that. And that's how it got into the show. And immediately on the street, people started doing that. I thought, whoa, we've touched something. It's one of those magic things that happen sometimes when you present an idea and a big yes comes back. You know?
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another. See that ye be not troubled. All these things must come to pass, but he that shall endure unto the end shall be saved.